All right, everybody, we are back. We're here on a Monday, nice holiday. I had to work today, but still, it's still a holiday for most people. So I just got back in from work. So thankfully, Crystal was able to fit it into her schedule. So here we are today, right now, for you, talking a lot of what went on this week in baseball. I just want to thank Crystal, first of all. She sent me this lovely hat, so I had to put it on display today. Got very excited when it came in the mail, so thank you, Crystal.
You're very welcome. It was my souvenir to you from Boston.
That was great. This is actually like low key like a nice hat.
It is.
Like I was like, oh, okay. I was like, not like, wasn't sure. I like looked, the pictures looked nice from like, Ed got one. I saw some others. I was like, oh, these look nice. But then when I actually got it, I was like, this is actually a good quality hat. So good on the Red Sox because I remember for most of my youth, they never did promotions, like ever, the Red Sox. And it was like, I feel like in the last maybe 5 to 10 years that they've actually been doing, like actual promotions. So I'm like excited to like finally, get promotions and have them be good ones for the Red Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox, they've given out hats before and they were just that like flimsy one size fits most hats. So yeah, that one was a lot better than the
So I
one
was
I received
excited.
from my
Well,
team.
thank you. Thank you so much. Had to wear my Carita hat and then I've got my Boston Red Sox shirt on. So I'm fully representing today.
Only
So,
representing David Bowie.
well, good. I mean, that also, you should. You should. But yeah, do we want to jump in on some things that happened this week?
Yeah, it was a busy week, so
It really was. Like, it
well,
really was.
I think that we should just kind of
Mm-hmm.
take that time first. The first thing we kind of wrote down was about what happened in Texas
Yes.
with the elementary school, Robb Elementary School, and how good on the Yankees and the Rays. First off, they used their platform on Twitter to just share facts about gun violence.
Yes.
And they didn't give any game updates for the entire night. They just only focused on statistics and gun violence in general. And another thing, like the kind of Chicago teams, it was like, White Sox, Cubs, Bulls, like all of that. They put out a statement as well saying that they were donating money
Oh,
towards
that's great.
like every town, and that it's just a game to them. These people lost all of their loved ones, so they were donating. So there was a lot happening around the league involving what happened in Texas and kind of what happened, in Buffalo just recently. Including Gabe Kapler, he announced that
Yes.
he was going to not come out for the national anthem. He did go out today because he felt as though Memorial Day was kind of different. But he also, if you don't remember, he did take a knee with a bunch of Giants players
Yes.
in 2020, protesting, the racial injustices. So, I mean, that was kind of good on him. Unfortunately, my manager is a terrible person and he just like disagreed
Like,
with,
why do you need to say anything, Tony?
yeah, like everyone else was really supportive of it. And Tony La Russa comes out and he was like, I like him and all, but it's not the flag, it's not the anthem. I'm like, that's the most boomer take.
Yeah, it's also the idea of that, just especially like it all started, with the idea of it was never about like, oh, I'm trying to disrespect America. I'm trying to disrespect this. I'm trying to be in a very open place where you can see me. And like, what more? Like, everybody is there and they're seeing you on the field. So if they see, Colin Kaepernick take a knee, or they see that Gabe Kapler's not there, it brings an awareness of like, oh, why is he taking? Like, I saw this. It has nothing to do with like, I'm not respecting my country. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. It's the idea of like, it's a visibility. You're in this moment where you can be visible with wanting to speak out. That's how I've always pictured it, as never been a, oh, look at this person disrespecting America. Like, also like, um, the idea of like, we live in this country where gun violence is, we're the only country where this happens. So the idea of like, let's respect America. How about like, these people in Congress respect us, respect our lives, respect our children's lives. Especially Crystal has children in school, and you're supposed to send your kids to school to be a safe place. The idea that it's terrifying that you could send your child to school and gun violence could happen to them. Like, that shouldn't happen. And it only happens here.
I mean, I will admit it scares me. Like, at the beginning of the year, I always have that dreaded thought of, oh my God, what is going to happen this year? You know, at a time, my daughter's classroom was the first classroom when you walk in.
Ugh.
And I was just like, what am I doing? You know, I don't want to sacrifice my kids, but I also can't have them do homeschool. You know, that's just not always a viable option for parents.
No,
and, you know,
it's not.
I'm constantly like sending them to school knowing that this world is just, this country is just broken. And, you know, I would be lying if I said every single day on the last day of school, I feel this relief, you know, that my kids made it through. And, you know, it was really sobering the day it happened. My son was playing a baseball game, and there were these little T-baller kindergartner kids on the field right before his game. They were wrapping up their game, and I'm sitting here and I'm just like awing over how cute they are. And, you know, they're just like picking grass and moving like all the dirt. And one kid was just doing flips. And like, they weren't paying any attention, but it was so cute. And I was like, oh, I remember when, you know, my son started and he played T-ball and he did the same thing. And then it just took me to, oh my gosh, kids like this age were massacred in Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they're going to these elementary schools and teachers are supposed to be this bulletproof vest for these kids. And, you know, my kids have to go through active shooter drills. And I was
that's like, terrifying.
It's traumatizing.
Yeah. I just remember, like, growing up, the only drill that you had was a fire drill. Yeah. And you're like, okay. Yeah. Now the idea of like, I saw on Instagram, this teacher was pretty much talking about like, oh, you think that I have to go through all this prep to educate your child? Here's the prep that I have to do to like potentially save your child's life because I have to. Or, you know, and then even saying the idea of like, I could do all this stuff and it still means nothing. Like, it's just so scary that like we live in a world where, or the idea of like, you can't go to the damn grocery store. You can't really go anywhere without just thinking like, oh, cool. Is today the day? Like somebody, like, it's just awful to think that we live in this world. And it obviously is, it's a gun control issue 100%. But my big question is like, what is going on in the world of late that these things, because like one of the first huge ones that, you know, really got people to notice was way back in 1999 with Columbine. So what's happened in the 22 years, or why was prior to 1999 this seemingly not this big of an issue? It's like, has the NRA just gotten stronger and stronger? And is that why we find ourselves in this issue? Or have our politicians just gotten more ignorant that we just find ourselves in this thing? It's just interesting that it just seems like it's become such an epidemic of the last 22 years. And it's like, why?
Yeah. I was going on to 8th grade when Columbine happened. And that was the first thing of its kind that I was ever just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And we still weren't doing, I never went through any kind of active shooter drill.
No.
I graduated in 2005 from high school. And from that time in 1999, I never did an active shooter drill. That still wasn't a thing.
Yeah, same. I graduated in 2008 from high school, and active shooter was never a thing either. Because while it happened, like Columbine happened, but then I felt like there were, or at least the ones that aren't as like, I don't know, that don't make the news as much. But I felt like, you know, there was that. And then the next big one was like Virginia Tech. But then I was like, I think Virginia Tech happened in maybe 2007. So then I was almost out of high school at that point. But then it's like they just start coming. Sandy Hook happens, and then all of these other things happen. And then now you're right. These children just live in a world where we just have active shooter drills.
Yeah.
And then we just live in a world where you get somebody like Tony La Russa that just doesn't understand it ever, because like it's difficult. I understand it's difficult for someone like him to understand, but at the same time, like it is about understanding. Because Gabe Kapler, like, he doesn't understand what it's like, but he has children, and he understands that aspect of it, and he wants to take this stance. And he's always been someone, like, I've loved Gabe for years, but like when he was here with the Red Sox, he was always somebody that was about domestic abuse and like what that can be, because his wife, before they began dating, dealt with a lot of domestic abuse. So he's been very vocal about that. He's been very vocal about mental health awareness all of this month. And I know next, especially being in San Francisco, I know he's going to be very vocal about Pride that's coming up in June. So it's like he's been very vocal about these things, and he wants to. And I love that we have like a manager that is this vocal with, just being like, there's something wrong and we need to fix it.
Yeah.
And whether that be something as simple as just going into the clubhouse, when the national anthem's played. And, this is baseball. This is just a game. It is. And then like, you'll get the people that'll be like, well, I want to escape from all this. And that's what baseball's my escape. Sure. But at the same time, like, this isn't just a tiny little issue. This is a nationwide issue that we are having, and we are only having in our country. So yeah, sure, baseball is your escapism, but you also have to be aware of what's going on in your country. Yeah, and I'm glad baseball's doing that.
This is one of those until it happens to you moments.
Because, absolutely.
It's never guaranteed. But I did want to note, because you did mention, mental health. Michael Kopech actually wanted to put out something. So he wrote something out, and the White Sox tweeted it out for like a wallpaper or something. But he wrote out, self-care is a beautiful conundrum, balancing the human tendency of being selfish with a higher desire to be selfless. And then he put, love thy neighbor as thyself. And I was like, that super cool of you, like super cool of a player who has struggled with his own mental health, to put that out and kind of be this shining light.
They're all dealing with it. And like, in most ball clubs do have a mental health professional there to help them through everything. And the idea of like, of course, I know sports just has this like the good old boy, especially within baseball, and the idea of like, you're a man, you must be tough. Like, why must they always be tough? Why can't they be vulnerable? But you're gonna have fans that will just never understand it, and it's like, oh, you can't hack it. And there are definitely more cities that are difficult on your mental health, Boston being one of them. Like, not everybody can play in Boston, and there's nothing wrong with that, and then some people, it's perfect for them. It's part of their nature. They can do it. They can succeed here, but it's not for everybody. I know New York is not for everyone. So like, you get somebody like Mookie Betts that you're going to immediately sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers because it's sunny Southern California and pressure doesn't exist here. So sure. Like, so the idea of like, oh, this person should have come to Boston. Like, oh, why'd they stay there? Or the idea of like, you get the fans that think like everybody every team can sign whoever they want. So the idea of like, the Red Sox should have gone after this person. Like, why didn't they? What makes you think that player just wants to come here? Well, it's Boston. We can outpay. Cool. We can outpay. And then David Price is miserable for pretty much all of his career here. Sure, he won a World Series. He did that. He did this. But like, for the most part, he was miserable in Boston because it was just not part of who he was. So it's just the idea of like, yeah, sure, you can overpay, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be miserable when they're here this entire time. So yeah, I firmly believe that all of that makes a lot of sense, Yeah. Oh, this is nice, though. MLB has scolded clubs for the unacceptable workplace facilities for women employees. MLB claims numerous clubs fall embarrassing and below the high standards necessary for women who are part of the game's traveling parties to do their job, and it creates an untenable working environment. While repercussions have not been outlined, MLB has asked to provide a detailed floor plans, descriptions, and photographs by June 3rd. So that's good. Globe Life Field is considered the gold standard with a large clubhouse or a private bathroom and shower. That is nice. I understand this 100%, but like places like Fenway and Wrigley are going to have to like adapt. Whereas, of course, Globe Life Field, and I'm glad that seemingly they built it with this in mind, which is great. But yeah, I feel like as long as you have a plan in place, that sounds great. But yeah, places like, Fenway, it's going to be way more difficult to create this. The Red Sox obviously don't have a female on staff at this point, but we do in the minor leagues with Bianca Smith, and actually had her on the Pesky Report and got to interview her. And she said that everything was going really well for her within that like she would go into the clubhouse like when she felt, but like she had her own changing area, and she felt like she had the privacy and the respect that she deserved, which is great to hear. But that is great to know that there are places that are going, and Major League Baseball wants to take women into account because, unlike people like Aubrey Huff, we're coming into this sport. Sorry, boys.
We're already here, boys, really. Yeah. Bailey and I are proof right now. We're here. We're invading your space.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, but it's happening.
Yeah, and today happens to be Women in Baseball Day. So I wanted to share this. Somebody retweeted it, so I don't know the original source of who said this, but it was really great, and it's really kind of impactful on what women do go through being in this sport, baseball, football, anything. So I'm gonna quickly read this.
Let's read it.
The thing that wakes me up at 2 a.m. now is this. What am I supposed to tell the girls and young women who come next, the ones who I've worked so hard to inspire and represent? That every broadcast, the live chat goes blessedly silent for. There's a week of slurs and mockery and insults just up ahead. That they won't get to go on road trips because they're viewed as unnecessary expenses. That they'll be passed over for more jobs than they can count, not because they aren't good enough, but because the men in charge are worried about inappropriate fraternization with the players. That so many women they look up to are only in it for themselves, slamming the door shut again as soon as they've crossed the threshold. That all of it only feels worth it every once in a blue moon. That the criticism, the critique, the examination, the nitpicking never fucking ends. It feels like a betrayal to push them forward when I know what lies on the other side of the glass ceiling, but it feels like a betrayal to hold them back too.
That's
and
profound.
I was like, that really resonates with, things I think in both of our experiences, about being in a boys club in a place that we wrote for before.
Yes, absolutely. Or just the idea of, or just people being like, oh, we need to have this girl sort of for, the quota. Like, oh, if we don't have the girl, that's why I like working with Pesky here, because it was never about being like, oh, we want women to say we want women. Like, we want women because like you are fans of this sport. Like, I was one of the first people that Brad reached out to be a part of Pesky, and it was like not just because I was a girl. It was like, oh, you could bring a different perspective, but you love and understand this game, so like I want you to be a part of this channel for that. And we've gotten some great comments. I know your husband gave us the little clap, so thank you to that, Billy. And then we've got from Think Outside the Box saying that they're a female in sports, and that this is an awesome thing that we're doing, that we being two women here, and like we need it in sports. Yeah, and we need more female presence in male sports over the years. Like, yeah, we've got somebody. I've fallen in love with the idea of women's sports, especially college basketball. Like, that's so great. Like, to be able to, especially that is the exposure of just female sports in general too. Like, the female March Madness goes on at the same time, and they never get the coverage that the men do. And I know it's going to take time, but it's little steps that we can do to be getting there. So I think it's great that we have people that are listening to our channel, watching our channel, liking our channel, because like we're here to, make a name for ourselves in a sport that we love. And yes, we do. And I do love that, like, Crystal and I have commented being like, oh, look at how handsome like Gabe Kapler is, or look at Dylan Cease. And yes, we do that, of course, but that's not like why we love this sport. It's not like, oh, that guy can wear some pants. Good on you, Robbie Ray, or things like that.
I was going to say.
So it's like we have fun with that, and we should be allowed to. But then I'll get the men that'll jump in and be like, well, I can't talk about how hot this person looks in their bikini. I was like, yeah, because that's gross. I'm sorry. Like, oh, yeah. There you go. Somebody, I watched female March Madness in Seattle 10 years ago. Changed. Yeah, so it's great. It's about getting the exposure. The exposure is what's going to, get people to watch. What I always find truly interesting is that apparently in tennis, females are the bigger draw, like, because they're better. Like Serena Williams is dominant. So people are going to watch people dominate at something that they are do at. So like truly, because you get in the discrepancy of like some people saying like, oh, the women in tennis get paid the same as men. Always should, no matter what. Like Billie Jean King fought for that. But the idea of like when you get to the level of, and I think that you get to a level of, within the Grand Slams, the women actually play less than the men do. The men has to be a best of 5. The women is still the best of 3. And that's only for the Grand Slams that it's different, because in any other tournament, it's always the best of 3. I think a part of me is like, hell yeah, why are we making the women? Why aren't the women doing a best of 5? You tell me Serena Williams can't? She can absolutely do it. And she could beat any of the men while doing a best of 5.
Any guy she faces.
Yeah, so like that's to me is like but I guess it is because of the age old like, oh, the women played less. But a part of me is like, come on, give me a best of 5 for all of these women. They're strong enough to do this for also, sure.
I want to note that most of these women are doing it on their period.
Oh yeah,
horrible cramps. So
absolutely, yeah. I had to. I fun fact, overshare for everybody, but today was day 1 of my period, and I had to go and just do a 4.5-hour VIP tour for my job, and I was miserable the entire time. I was like, I still took like things to like alleviate the cramps, but that only takes so much, and it wears off after so many hours. So yeah, we are doing this in an immense amount of pain that men could never understand. And yeah, look at women's soccer right there. When's the last time that American men were good at soccer? I don't even think they've made the World Cup. And then yeah, you truly do. You have the women absolutely slaying it.
And WNBA too. I love women's basketball. Actually went to go see the Indiana Fever. I was at the game where they won their championship. They are the only team right now in that stadium that have a championship banner, because the Indiana Pacers are just god awful. And like my daughter is super pumped about women's basketball. She wants to go see the Chicago Sky. So we are trying to work that out for, next month to go see the Sky.
That'd be awesome, right?
She looks up to these women. She thinks it's really cool. So yeah, just all over. Women are here. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that was always the thing about Kobe Bryant was like losing him and losing his daughter at the same time. Is he was a huge for like women's sports, and he would talk about how Gianna was like the one that was the better athlete and how she was going to be the Bryant that was going to change the world. And it's so unfortunate that like we not only lost her, but the other people that we lost, because that could have been an entire team that could have just completely changed, the WNBA and what it could have meant. So
Cheryl Miller also was better than her brother, Reggie Miller. And he used to get taunted for that growing up because she was a better basketball player than he was.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I love it. We're good. We're here. We're here. And we're going to take over your sports, gentlemen. Sorry. They were coming.
But hey, on a fun note, the Dodgers are retiring number 14 for Gil Hodges. The Mets already did this in 1973. But they are going to be doing the ceremony on June 4th when the Dodgers do host the Mets.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. And he was like only the 3rd person that's had his number retired by 2 different teams.
That's really cool.
Really.
We know Carlton Fisk has both his 27 and his 72.
Yes.
Retired for both of the socks that he wore. So that's kind of cool, like getting retired by multiple teams, just to know, oh, not only was I good for one team, I was good for multiple teams.
Right.
So that's, yeah. Okay, we can go into a little bit of a little more Josh Donaldson and his lackluster apology.
Oh. Yeah, he apologized to the Robinson family, basically saying that it was insensitive and that it was he stuck with this. It was a joke with Tim Anderson. I started calling him that in 2019.
He didn't like it then.
Anderson came out and he was like, I told him in 2019 to not call me that. And he kept it going. And finally, it reached this point where I had to just say something. So yeah, I don't think he has any genuine.
Oh, he doesn't care. No. He doesn't understand it.
Racist is going to stay a racist.
Yeah, and he has no clue that anything of what he did or said was racist.
Yeah.
Which is so baffling to me. Or I just, Twitter, once again, love it, but it also is a cesspool. And the cesspool of being like, well, he did, Tim Anderson did compare himself to Jackie Robinson. I'm like, he really didn't, though. He said,
No,
I want to be
like a trailblazer, like he
exactly. I
was.
want to be like a Jackie Robinson. I want to be a Jackie Robinson for the young boys and girls that are watching now, because there is still a problem with, there is a lot of color in sport, sure, but a lot of it are from, the Dominican Republic or
Mhm.
from Puerto Rico. So it's like there really aren't too many African American faces. And there are people like Tim Anderson, there are people like Mookie Betts, there are people like CC Sabathia that want to do the outreach to get these kids to say, baseball is a viable sport to play too. Like,
Mhm.
come and enjoy baseball. So like that to me is what Tim Anderson means when he says he wants to be Jackie Robinson. Like, he's not saying like, look at me, I'm going to be better than Jackie Robinson, or I think I'm Jackie Robinson. No, that's ignorant to think that that's what he meant. And so, and the idea of even like, what would make you think that going up and be like, hey Jackie, what's up? Like, what makes you think that anything is okay with that? And yeah, we get people commenting, like, it was strange how many people are defending like Donaldson.
It
Like,
was, yeah.
like, why? And like things, and other people saying like, I've never really got his character, like liked his character. Yeah, he's been a punk for
Yeah.
years, and now we're really truly seeing what he is. And yeah, and not, or sometimes you can do things and not realize it. It happens. And then we say, oh my God, what we did was wrong. Let me actually truthfully apologize. Not like what he said, being like, well, it's still a joke. Like, I was kidding. Like, that's not an apology, if you ask me.
And to make matters worse, at the Cubs White Sox game over the weekend, Cubs fans were still chanting Jackie every time he came up to the plate.
What is wrong
Yeah.
with Cubs fans? What makes you think that that's fine?
I get it. It's this crosstown rivalry, even
That's not.
though
No,
they're
no, no,
not
no.
really rivals at any point.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were Cubs fans chanting Jackie when he went up to the plate. So really classy.
And then didn't he just get hurt too?
Yes,
Now
he did
he's.
just go out with groin injury. I was at that game.
Oh,
I considered crying, but
that's
I am
awful.
incapable of actually shedding real tears anymore. But yeah, he went down in like the second inning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got somebody saying Euclid was a hothead, but he kept it on the field. His actions spoke more than his words. He was an animal on the field, but gentle off it. Yeah, that's true. Like, Euclid isn't, like, I'm all for showing your emotion on the field, and that's why I always really like someone like Kevin Youkilis, because he showed that emotion while on the field. I love it. You strike out and you're mad. I'm mad that you struck out. So I love that you see, like, I see that you're mad. Like, I love seeing that type of player. But yeah, Kevin Youkilis was never out there like calling African American players Jackie.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, so it's good to know that we had people that were the hotheads and maybe rub people the wrong way just because of like their actions on the field. That's fine, rather than what you're saying is incredibly racist to someone
Yeah.
and not apologizing for it. Like, but some good news and some terrifying news for probably the rest of the National League is that Jacob deGrom says that his shoulder is completely fine. So that's terrifying. He played catch on Friday, about 135 feet. Next discussion will be if he should push it a little more or not. Of course, we still don't know exactly when his return will be, but it's coming. And, the Mets are good. The Mets are good without Jacob deGrom.
So
So
good.
imagine how good the Mets are going to be with throwing Jacob deGrom into this mix.
Yeah. I do you remember it was a couple years back when he was on a rehab assignment and he was playing some team. I think it was like down south, and they had like palm trees or something as their name. And
Love
they
it.
kept tweeting like, why us? Because he was pitching against them. And like they just every single time he was on the mound, they were just like, yep, we still have yet to get a hit. And yep, that fastball came at like 105 miles an hour. And they were just live tweeting their entire game that he was doing his rehab stint in. And so someone was like, those poor palm trees are shaking in their boots.
Oh my God. It's so true. Like, I can only imagine what it's like. That's why hitting to me is the most difficult thing to do in any sport, maybe in life. Like, I went In fairness, I was pretty inebriated, but I was literally just Googling the other day batting cages because I like to go from time to time. It's a lot of fun. And while I was looking for batting cages in Los Angeles, this place called Strike Zone popped up, and it's a batting cage bar. So you can drink and then you can step into batting cages. So you have to sign a waiver because drunk people stepping in front of balls coming at certain speeds. So we did it, and I think I was on like the 2 level of like however many levels there are. I like step in there, and I know it is all about timing, and it takes me timing for quite a bit. So if I ever go to like a batting cage, I will eventually get there and I'll start hitting them, but I have to get my timing right. So with this, you couldn't really even get your timing because it was about 10 balls just being like blasted in there. And of course, it's not coming straight in either. It was like hooking weirdly. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, this ball is maybe coming at 30 miles an hour. It's got a little bit of a hook on it, but I'm just thinking about like, what is a Jacob deGrom 100-mile-an-hour fastball with movement like?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can't even see it. So the idea of even like fouling that off, I'm like, damn, that's impressive. Let alone getting a hit or a home run or anything off of it. So it's just incredible. You just have this like respect for hitters. And I got a couple of hits, but this thing was like in the batting cage. If you hit it, you're like, yeah, I hit it. This one was like, if you hit it, it was like foul ball. I was like, oh.
There's a bar like that in Wrigleyville where they have batting cages, and it is really fun to watch the drunks go in there and try to hit.
Oh yeah, and it was funny because we got like one of my friends, she was like, I was like, oh damn, she's like really good, but she's like a really athletic person, so like I didn't expect her to like not be good at this. But then we had one of our friends is like 6'4", and he was whiffing, but he nailed one, and you just heard like crunch, and I was like, wow, if we were measuring exit velocity, like you would be the winner because the sound off of that bat was like smack, and I was like, whoa. But it's definitely a lot of fun. So that was definitely cool. If you have a batting cage bar in your area, I would say definitely check it out. Like, good times.
We have one that we take our son to every once in a while just so we can go and practice. It's like a mile down the road. So
that's fun. Yeah, no, I love going to a batting. If I was ever like rich, I would buy one for like my backyard and just be like, let me hit some balls and have a good time back there. But another good thing on pitching for my Boston Red Sox, Nate Eovaldi did his first career complete game, which is crazy to think about that it was the first one. But it was great. And there's something so interesting about what's going on with the Red Sox pitching is we've had 2 complete game. The first one was an actual complete game shutout from Nick Pivetta. This one wasn't a shutout, but it was still an absolutely impressive pitched game, and it was the first game of a doubleheader, so it saved the bullpen. Unfortunately, the Red Sox did not win the second game of the doubleheader, but still, it was like he saved the bullpen. He went out there and just absolutely shoved after having like 2 starts ahead, probably the worst start of his career, and then coming back. That's what good pitchers do is they adapt. They realize between starts what they've done, and he just was, oh my God, it was glorious. It was beautiful to watch. I love a complete game. So chicks dig the long ball. This girl really loves a good pitcher's duel.
I do too.
Right? I love it. So it was a great game, and it can't happen to a better person. Nate Eovaldi is just a gem of a human being, and it was great to see him have that success in this game. And it was great for the Red Sox, and the first time since 2019 that we had 1, and now we just have had 2. And I don't know, it's interesting because it's like, are we getting to a point where Alex Cora is maybe sick? Because I think it was 108 pitches to complete the game, which really isn't bad. That's 8 pitches past, like, we're going to pull you type thing. But I don't know, is Alex Cora being like, all right, you were at 90-something pitches. Like, I'm okay with sending you back out for the 9th. I like that. I don't know if it's just the idea of, like, I want to go back out and I'm not going to give you a choice type situation, or is he really trusting that, like, 108 pitches isn't going to blow up Nathan Eovaldi's arm?
Right. I did get to see a good pitcher's duel yesterday with Dylan Cease and Marcus Stroman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like really late inning scoring, like any kind of runs. There were barely even any hits in the beginning, and it was just took forever.
Are the Red Sox Dylan Cease's like Achilles heel? Because he seems to be great against everybody but the Red Sox. So I'll take it. But woo! Yeah. So for sure. So that's great to see that there was an actual. But speaking, you're probably very happy about this next news coming up, right?
Other good pitching news. Dallas Keuchel has been designated for assignment.
I'm happy for you. I'm just
He is
terrified that the
not
Red Sox are going to pick him
my
up or some shit.
problem anymore.
Oh God, yeah, just hire him. Don't make him the other Sox problem, please. Please don't. I'm all for pitching depth, but the guy looks cooked.
His ERA was like almost 8 at this point.
Yeah, the Red Sox handled him pretty easily too, and when we went against him. But yeah, so I'm happy for you. I'm not happy for Dallas Keuchel and what's happened to him.
I think he still has a ton of money coming in.
Oh, a ton of money, and Kelly Nash is his wife, so
Yeah.
he's doing okay in life.
Yeah.
Not that but still, there has to be a point in your career where you realize that you're not good at what you do anymore, and that's got to be a little demoralizing. But
not my circus, not my monkeys anymore.
Not your problem, right? Oh, we got some Angels and Rockies City Connect jerseys. Oh, I gotta actually take a peek at these.
Yeah, you gotta look at these first. I want your opinions.
Oh, let's see. Angels to take part in the City Connects. Let's see. All right.
They're, to me, the most boring.
Oh God, why am I not getting a good picture of these? Hang on. 7 teams getting them. Hang on, maybe this is it. All right, Washington's I saw.
Which I loved. I loved Washington's.
Oh yeah, theirs was nice. I liked the. All right, let's see. Here we go. Oh, why am I still not seeing these here? Damn, why? What the heck?
No.
I'm typing in Angels and Angel City Connect. It'd be nice if I sped. Oh, here we go. Ranking the Angel City Connect uniform. Let's see if I can find it in here. Oh, it's I don't know. It kind of looks like it's trying to be like the old Angels uniforms a bit, which I do like. Back when they were the California Angels, which they should just go back to being, because sorry, you're not Los Angeles. First of all, it's not even the right county. It'll upset me until the day I die. Yeah, there's kind of like a bland cream. I don't really like that patch there that looks like the diamond with the number in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a big fan of that.
I like the font, and that's it.
Yeah, the font is kind of cool. That's like a fun font. And then the Rockies are getting one too. Let's see. Rockies City Connect. Let's check these.
I both love and hate these at the same time. They were modeled after their license plate in Colorado.
Oh, I don't know. These kind of fresh.
I would take. Okay, so they remind me of the starter jackets from the 90s.
They do. They totally have that color for sure.
Everyone had the Charlotte Hornets one because that was the cool. You didn't even have to be a Hornets fan, but you still had it.
Yeah, but you still had it, yeah.
Because it was cool. And then the pants, they have a blue kind of pleat, this really deep blue pleat down the side. It's kind of hard to tell in the pictures they've posted, but I kind of like them. I think if
they're funky. They're kind of funky.
I think if they went with purple pants, it would be perfect.
I actually really love the Rockies uniforms, in general, especially the sleeveless ones. Because it's different. I love seeing the sleeveless. I love the purple. Do you know what I did? Terribly miss? I miss the Arizona Diamondbacks old purple uniforms.
Yes, those were great.
When they won, literally, when they won the World Series in 2001, to me that is a uniform. I love that uniform. So Colorado kind of has that funky vibe, especially with the sleeveless one. So, but I like this. It's interesting that it's modeled kind of after their license plate. And I like the CO, and I like the Rocky Mountains. That's kind of cool. I would get that. I'd get that Colorado hat. That hat's cool.
Yeah, I'd get a jersey or something. Hell, I'll get a Chris Bryant jersey.
Oh, yeah, you got to get the jerseys because those real City Connect ones, the Red Sox ones, were outrageously expensive. But you could get, I think they do have jersey ones that kind of look like that, which would be, $20 to $35 type thing, rather than, I'm pretty sure the City Connect jerseys were, $250 to, $300. And I'm I don't like anything enough to just drop $300 on something.
No.
It's just crazy.
I also just don't buy jerseys because it's the kiss of death. Yesterday I was wearing a Tim Anderson jersey when he was injured. So
yeah,
of death. I don't buy them. I don't wear them.
Yeah. Oh, so this next one coming up is some juiciness, between Mr. Jock and Mr. Pham. So Tommy Pham, and I love this. This lap heard around the world. Fram was suspended for 3 games, literally after slapping Jock Peterson over a dispute involving a fantasy football league. Fam also received a fine. He accused Peterson of saying disrespectful shit about the Padres and fucked up his money. Okay, also you guys make millions of dollars and you're feuding over a frigging like fantasy football league? Like, and also why is Tommy Pham, who's no longer on the Padres, still like Mr. Padre?
Yeah, I don't know. I really love, like, I hear from fantasy football people that what Jock did is terrible.
What did he
in
do?
fantasy football. He stashed an ineligible player on injured reserve. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't do fantasy anything.
Yeah.
But I guess in the fantasy world, that's just a terrible thing to do. Was it worthy of a slap on the back of the head?
Probably not.
No. Do I find all of the Jock interviews hilarious? Yes. He also looks like a little child with like his barely there facial hair, and like just put like a backpack on him and send him to school. But this
Jock looks way younger than he actually is, so it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, imagine just being so upset over this. Tommy Pham, like from getting stabbed at that club, like in San Diego, to some of the weird shit that he's done. You're like what is going on, Tommy? Like
he's going through it.
Yeah, it's a little some of your actions. I'm glad there was a suspension. I'm glad there was a fine. But whew, it's like you want to laugh at it because it's so like I don't know, ridiculous. But at the same time, you're just like, wow, you're grown men and this is happening.
Yeah,
there's a lot of testosterone going on.
I'm gonna skip over the next one just because I want to stick with like ridiculous baseball news.
Oh yeah, and then we can go back to the good news after that.
So Jake McGee was not allowed to enter Friday's game because apparently he was just not listed on the lineup card. Like, that's it. He was just not listed.
How do you do? There's certain things that occur that I'm like, how? Like, how do you mess up not putting one of your players on a lineup card? Like, how?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like,
no, there's that.
Oh my god, that's too. That's
the Juan Soto.
To go back to some good news, yeah. So Juan Soto hit his 100th career double, earning him an achievement of a round number milestone that only 3 Inner Circle Hall of Famers have attained. He is also the first player to join that list since 1950, including Mel Ott, Ted Williams, and Mickey Mantle. All have accomplished this at the age of 23 or younger. I mean, we truly understand the freak that is Juan Soto and the amount of money that he is going to make very shortly. Pretty sure he'll be like a free agent at like 25.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of money. Who's going to pay it? I don't know. Hi him. I would love it, but it's probably never going to happen. But just how good of a hitter he is honestly, like you're seeing, it's with the greats.
Yeah. This comment made me laugh. It was about Marshawn Lynch and his interviews.
Yeah.
And I will admit that I say this all too often, usually in Slack when I'm like complaining about something. I constantly say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. There was also an Estrogen Power Hour podcast with that was our title because
that's great. But I do love the aesthetic of eating Skittles while saying that. Like that just adds to the baller nature of things.
I love him. He's hilarious.
Like, that's just great. Yeah, I know, man. I'm just gonna eat these Skittles, and that's fantastic. You need more people like that in sports. Like, I think that's great to have that. Absolutely. But yeah, Juan Soto, like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Speaking of phenomenal hitters, Jesus Sanchez, he's an outfielder for the Marlins, just today launched a 496-foot home run with 115 exit velocity. This was the second longest in Coors Field history. And this was a really fun fact. The longest belongs to Giancarlo Stanton, actually, when he was on the Marlins as well in 2016. His was like 505 feet, I think.
I mean, when you're like, 6'6" and weigh almost 300 pounds, you're expecting it to go like that. So crazy. But of course, Giancarlo Stanton is once again hurt because that's what Giancarlo Stanton do.
Mhm.
Oh, what a contract the Yankees took on. Good on you, New York. The Marlins gave it out crazily, and then we're like, whoa, pause. You take this, New York. Yeah, it's crazy.
Clinton Bridge with Fury.
115 off the bat, just that's
Yeah,
crazy. Like
I
that
saw
is
the video. It's insane.
really. I gotta watch it. I want to hear the crack of it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
good.
And
It's good.
then of course, again, because both of these people never not are injured, Sonny Gray and Zach Greinke both left Saturday's game with injuries. Like what? Imagine both being like both starters go out there and both leave with injuries. This is Sonny's second injury already
Yeah,
on the season. Sonny Gray cannot stay healthy. It's unfortunate for him. And then of course we already talked with Tim Anderson, but that it was so bad that he did need the assistance from the
Mhm.
trainers. And then there's no timetables really on any of these players right now. But I mean, like
Yeah.
a pulled groin so badly that you need help off, like that's unfortunate, and that's probably going to be way too long.
When I tell you, it was like a silence in that entire, like, you think of a ballpark and it's loud. It got like silent.
Silent. Ugh.
It was just very tense. And when he finally was able to get up, because he was down for a while too, and it was just like all the air had been sucked out of that room. And it really changed the momentum of the game. And the game ended up going 12 innings as well. So that was already brutal enough. It was really hot. It was a very long game, and Tim Anderson was out. And we're like, I don't want to be a fan of this team any longer.
Yeah, like that's awful. Just to, especially a team with such promise. That's why it's been difficult for both of our Sox this year. Is like the Red Sox have been a little more like, I don't know. At least the Yankees have been on fire, hoping that they will explode and not be, especially with these injuries that are coming, that they won't be, sustaining this. And the Red Sox can kind of, at least the White Sox have a little more, opportunity to get closer within their division than the Red Sox do at this point. But the Red Sox still haven't really been playing. They just like currently playing, the 5-game set, including a doubleheader against the Orioles. But outside of that, really haven't been playing within their division often. So like that'll be a time where they can really jump up there. But we actually got a question.
I saw that.
Yeah, that it was like, how do we feel about Goldie? Yeah, so Paul Goldschmidt, he has a hitting streak of, I believe, 18 games, but then he has a
20 now.
30. Okay, so 20 now up, but then it's like, so at that point, it'd be like, what, a 34 game on base streak, which is crazy. Goldschmidt's good.
Yeah,
It's tough to think because it's crazy that you had the 56 games for who was it for DiMaggio, right? That something like that is just going to be so crazy to even come close to. But even getting on base within 34 games is just crazy too. But I don't know. I don't know how long it can last. It's just like something like that. I feel like it's just such a crapshoot. Truthfully,
it is. Yeah, I think he could probably go another week of getting some hits. But yeah, it has to come to an end at some point. That's just not natural.
It's crazy.
But it's good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good. Goldie seems like a good guy.
Yeah, he does.
And then some rounding out some of our news is like, I guess for Roger Clemens, even though whatever. Good news for the Clemens household, the youngest Clemens boy, Cody Clemens, because all of our kids got to have that K for strikeouts because I'm Roger Clemens. Like,
they all do.
He was just promoted to the major league roster for the Detroit Tigers. Now I'm wondering, I know all of his sons attempted to play. Is this the first son to actually make the majors?
Yeah, this is the first one to make the majors.
All right, well, good for that. So congrats to Cody Clemens on making the Detroit Tigers. So that's pretty exciting.
He's a better person than his dad was.
We can all hope for that.
Phenomenal at what he did, not
unbelievable.
A great person.
No, truthfully. Did a lot for, had to go in with this B on his cap, and I bet he hated it because I was that Yankee and I got my championships and I'm 85 years old and I'm coming back to the Bronx. You got to wear this. This is stuck forever on your hat in Cooperstown, and I love it. But anyways, So that pretty much rounds out our week. Was there anything else that I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a really busy week.
It was an exciting week. There was a lot of excitement going on in Major League Baseball. Maybe we can get a lot more excitement, hopefully for the better. Hopefully nobody's oh my god, it's 5 Red Sox tattoos. That's crazy. I don't even have a single one.
I don't have a base. I want a baseball tattoo.
You need a baseball tattoo, right?
I don't want a team, but I do want something baseball-y. Also, I just forgot about this. 2 White Sox players are not able to go to Toronto for their series. I just found out who they were.
Who was outed?
This one I knew. I knew Kendall Graveman would be one. He just gives me that vibe. The other one broke my heart because it's Dylan Cease.
Oh, Dylan, why? Why, Dylan?
What are you even doing?
You were so attractive and you just went down a little bit.
I'm so bummed. He's not vaccinated, so he is unable to.
Yeah. The Red Sox, I was pleasantly shocked with because we had a huge issue in 2021 because there were a bunch of unvaccinated. But outside of, truthfully, like of Tanner Houck, like everybody was vaccinated and we went to Toronto and I was proud of that. Like truthfully proud of that. Like, yeah, Tanner Houck, whatever you do. I want to do everything I can to help the Red Sox win baseball games, except get a needle in my arm. But, that's beside the point. But yeah, so thank you for the people that have joined us right now. We had 4 people joining us and the awesome people that are in here giving us some comments and asking us some questions. Thank you so much. For everybody that watches this after we end, thank you so much. I've loved doing this. I can't really speak for Crystal, but I think she's enjoying her time as well.
You love it.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. So thank you once again, and we will catch you next week. So as always, much love from us.
Yes, bye.